Hello all and welcome to another piece of this course, the finale version of the Write Your First Piece of Music in 14 Steps. It's Cody Wyman again. In this video we are going to do Hyperscribe. We're going to learn how to use Hyperscribe functionality, which is the notation by playing it by keyboard into the computer software. And for this, we're going to actually open up a new piece in Finale. So make sure you have Finale 2014.5 or a equivalent of that program open. What we're going to do is we're going to go to Launch Window. And I'm just going to basically pick a template here because this will be quick and painless here. Because I just want to show you how to put notes easily in there. Hyperscribe is one of the easiest notation methods that you can use in Finale. Not a lot of other software programs have it. Sibelius has it and Finale has it. There may be a couple other programs that have it, but this functionality is pretty good. There are some pitfalls in using this Hyperscribe method, one of the main ones being latency and notes being put in the wrong order or the wrong rhythm, especially when you actually play the exact right rhythm and it notates it wrong because of latency. That you need to get worked out. Finale has several articles on how to resolve the latency issue. You usually have to go in your MIDI audio settings and go to where you have your devices plugged in and actually fix the latency on that. But at any rate, we're going to do, I'm just going to do string orchestra for now so we can get the scoop, the quick scoop on how to do Hyperscribe. So what you're going to need is your piano keyboard or your MIDI controller ready to go. It needs to be on. It needs to be plugged into your computer via USB, which is how it normally works. And then you need to just do a piece, get a piece set up, and then you're off to the races. And I'm going to set tempo right here. And then we're good to go. So I'm going to pick a simple piece and I'm just going to go like this. So now we're going to go to our Hyperscribe tool, which is this little baby right here in the main tool palette. It's the fourth one down on the left side of the main tool palette. You're going to click it until it goes blue. And then what we're going to do is this notice is going to say to hear performance data recorded in Hyperscribe or to hear your MIDI and tempo changes, select incorporate for user MIDI data and HP preferences. You don't have to worry about that. That's just saying if you wanted more realistic feedback or realistic human playback, that you can go to human playback and set that up. So anyway, you have your Hyperscribe tool selected. Now you're just going to click on one of the measures and there's going to be a box that comes up and you hear that ticking. That's the metronome giving you the beat so that you can have something to reference. So then again, we're going to click it. 2 measures in, and then you're going to play. Alrighty then, so there's our sample. And then you can always play it back, so go to the Playback Controls. If your Playback Controls aren't up, you can actually go to Window, go down to where it says Playback Controls, and check that box, and it will come up with the dialog box for the Playback Controls. And if your playback controls are up, all you have to do is set it to 0 and go ahead and click the play button. Now, if you wanted to add more, let's see. Let's say we wanted to add the viola part next. Now we're going to tick, turn that down a little bit. Now and go. Now that wasn't the best performance, so I'm going to go ahead and do it again. This time you're going to click the viola again and you're just going to wait 2 measures and go. And there you go, there's your viola part. And then you do the same for every single other part that you have. Let's go right here. You could select any of the measures, give a 2 measure count in, and go. There we go. And so on and so forth. You can have acres of fun with this. So there's some other things in the Hyperscribe menu that I'd like to go over really quick. Beat source, playback or click, that is checked. That actually says that when you click the Hyperscribe tool in the middle of the phrase, this is the playback, it will actually play back the music where you're at or where you're starting so that you know where to come in. In recording terms, it's called a punch, where you punch in your edited part or where you punch in another part. It will actually help you by playing the music before the measure in which you started in order to help you find your part or find where your part is. And the click is just the click that you heard starting out. It gives you 2 measures pre-roll, what's called pre-roll, which is like 2 measures that are just for nothing, so you get ready to record your stuff, and then it will actually continue clicking as you play. That's all that is. External MIDI sync, that actually synchronizes your whole MIDI project to the prescribed beat unit. There's actually beat units in here that'll actually help you keep your piece in sync, and it'll actually sync your playing, sync the piece with what you're playing. Tap is basically you will actually tap the sustain pedal, or you can tap your keyboard in order to in order to have a MIDI note selected instead of the tapping. You could tap that MIDI note, and then the tap beat is a quarter note. You can actually tap the whole note, the half note, the eighth note, the dotted note, anything like that. So if you have any subdivisions that you need to put in, you could always do that. And this is just you could set different notes, different settings for the tap, for the MIDI. Usually I don't worry too much about these because, you know, I just do simple writing and playing the music. Record mode is another issue that, another thing that you need to look at, because you could either record into one staff at a time, which basically will select just this staff if that's the one we hit, or you can actually go in under Hyperscribe and click the split into two staves. Now what this will do, you check this, split MIDI note at note 60, which is basically an A or B before middle C. Or you can actually have Finale listen, and you can actually tap which note you want. So I tapped an A, which is actually 57, not 60, pardon. And once you do that, it'll split the keyboard at A for the staves that you want. And you could actually go like this. You have to be under the playback / click. That has to be checked in order to get the click back again. So once you have that, make sure you're in Finale, make sure you're ready to go, and just tap this. And let's say you have that part, and then what you want to do, stop tapping there. Let's say you want to do violin 2 and viola. You can actually do it this way. Down. Ready, go. And there you go. And that's basically how it'll divide it up as it sees fit. Now, some of these divisions are not going to be perfect. You would, if you wanted to edit these a little bit, you would actually, I would put the A in the violin 2, I'd put that on the viola line and leave the middle C on the violin 2 line, and some other things, like I'd put the C on the violin 2 line, but I put the B on the viola line and probably the A on the cello line, just to make sure that it's all three parts are separated. You could also go under Hyperscribe, under record mode, and go Multitrack Record. And what this does is it will actually select the various instruments in multiple staves and make them record all simultaneously as you play, given whatever notes you choose to have the piano be split at. To do this multi-track recording, what you would have to do is you have to go under what's called Studio View, is what we're in right now. You get there by going to Finale View, and then all these views, go down to Studio View, and that will pop up. And now we're going to select these three parts, violin, two, violoncello, on record, we're going to make them go on the record function so that they're red, so that they're ready to record. If you don't do this, what will happen is what you saw on the last little slide where Hyperscribe can't do it because guess what? No tracks are ready to record. So now that we're ready to record, it will do its job. Now that it's ready to go, now we can do this. All right, let's take a look at this. Now you could see again, some of these weren't split up because part of the reason is because I didn't split up the keyboard. I didn't go under here, under Hyperscribe options, and actually select the channels, or I didn't select the settings in which the keyboard would be broken into different sections. So what that would cause me to do would be to actually go back through and edit these. You can actually go through, there's a nifty little feature in Finale where you can actually go through this and select utilities, and you can actually go through, it's either editor or utility, one of these things here. Oh, okay, it's not available in this view. But what you would normally do is you could go under View, Page View again, make sure it's in Page View. You can go to Utilities, you could select your music, and I need my Hyperscribe thing, or I need my main tool palette, and I would need the actual arrow tool to select my measures. And what I want to do is I want to grab all this and I want to go to Utilities. Now, implode and explode music. This is important if you want to edit your music right, or if you want to change something from piano score to multiple instrument part score. For this one, I'm going to select explode music because it's going to distribute those spots where there's like 2 and 3 notes on one instrument to each instrument. So what we're going to do is go explode music, and I'm going to split this into 3 staves and 1 note per staff, and we're not going to do new staves at the bottom of the score. What we're going to do is we're going to start them with violin 1, and we're going to actually distribute these equally into different measures. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do the same thing with this. We're going to split them. And what we're going to do is we're going to split these, and we're going to go to Utilities, and we're going to explode the music, split into 4 staves, 1 note per staff, starting with violin 1. Now, some of this may or may not work, but you have to keep exploding until it becomes what you want it to become. So that's a long-winded tutorial on Hyperscribe. If you need more information on Hyperscribe, I'm always putting more content in over time in all my courses. So if this doesn't scratch the surface on this, I will be making more videos in the future. Up next is going to be using the main tool palette. Now that we've gone over all the note input methods, And I hope you enjoyed this lecture as much as I did giving it. If you have any questions, please feel free to consult the Q&A or shoot me a comment, and I will be glad to talk to you.